Shakuntala, he fell greatly in love with her and proposed to marry her. So he approached Kanva Rishi, and then the marriage was agreed, but there was no one around in the forest at that time, so it was a Gandharva wedding. And but King Dushyanta had to leave to go back to the kingdom. So King Dushyanta, on leaving, he entrusted his wife Shakuntala to the Rishi Kanva. And on leaving, he gave Shakuntala a ring that had a picture on it. And he promised them that he would return soon. Rishi Kanva and Shakuntala, having waited for a long, long time, didn't find King Dushyanta return. Kanva Rishi sent his rishis and some assistants for Shakuntala to the palace. When they reached the palace, unfortunately King Dushyanta couldn't recognize Shakuntala. And when she was asked to give the proof, who you say you are, so Shakuntala was taking her ring to show that this is the ring you gave me. But when she was looking, she couldn't find her ring, because as she was crossing the river and playing in the water, the ring had fell in the water. So unfortunately, she had to return back to the hermitage of Kanva Muni, that King Dushyanta hasn't accepted her. But eventually, King Dushyanta came across that ring, because that ring was swallowed by a fish, and that fish managed to get in the palace of the King Dushyanta. And when the fish was cut, the ring was found, and the king's face was on the ring. So he was taken to the king, and then she remembered. And then the king remembered, oh yes, this is the ring that I had given to the girl I fell in love with and I married her, so I need to go and look for her. But why he had forgotten about this girl is because Shakuntala was cursed by Durvasa Muni. Once Durvasa Muni had approached the hermitage of Kanva Rishi, and Shakuntala had completely ignored his presence, because she was so absorbed in that ring, because she was so much in love with her king, obviously. Because of ignoring Durvasa Muni, Durvasa cursed her that whoever you are meditating on, whoever you're thinking about, that person will forget you. That's how the king had forgotten her. Now that king remembered her, the king came to the hermitage of the rishi and took Shakuntala back and made him her queen. So from King Dushyanta and Queen Shakuntala was born the great Bharat Maharaj. And from Bharat Maharaj comes the dynasty of the Kurus and the Pandavas. So this is the relevance of the Apsaras and their lineage. And it is clear that they were not like the common prostitute like today. But although deity herself, she was afflicted by lust, and she was compared to this kind of like a prostitute. But these were like great souls who was sent, who was been created by Lord Krishna himself. When we see that how deity's lusty desire, where it came from and what happened to lusty desires. In chapter 3 Bhagavad Gita, verse 37, Krishna says what to do with lusty desires. Kamaisa krodesa rajaguna samantava mahasanu mahapapma vidiyenam itha vairinam. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. Okay, the Supreme Personality of God had said, it is lust only, Arjuna. Lust is born of contact with the material mode of passion and then transformed into wrath, and which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. So what does lust do to us? It devours us. This story of deity is not only about what happened there, it's about what lust can do to us. In his class on Monday, Srimad Bhagavatam class, Srila Prabhupada did touch on this topic, and he did say that the suffering in this material world is mainly due to attachment. This attachment of man and woman, unless it is dealt with, we are going to suffer. Also, Srila Prabhupada did mention that the whole world is moving on sex desire. So sex is not a topic that we kind of stay away from. This is the actuality of our existence. All we need to move away from this lust is detachment. And detachment, we know, is detachment from any mode of passion or ignorance is by being attached to the mode of goodness. For example, chanting, meditation, devotional service, devotee association. So through meaningful activities like exercise, hobbies, yoga, and so many other things, we can get over this lust. So deity behavior being known as shameless, we can see that women have got some kind of reputation to guard their reputation. Srila Prabhupada has mentioned in the purport about restricted sex and unrestricted sex. Because restricted sex is recommended in our community for everyone, because unrestricted sex will lead to demoniac leading to a demoniac world. Illicit sex, when it is recreational, causes havoc in the society. But Srila Prabhupada has given us these 4 executive principles. Shri Radha Gokulanda ki jai, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai, So one of the 4 regulative principles is to avoid illicit sex. So although deity didn't kind of actually do anything like against principles, because sex is for procreation, deity wanted to procreate. That was a good intention of her. And she also assisting the Lord in appearance of Hiranaksha and Nakashri. But she did it in the wrong way, in the wrong manner. She brought shame to the family because she disrespected Lord Shiva, who is the Shambhu Mahadev, great Vaishnava. So deity is to be blamed a little here, but we have to look at the circumstances around her. There were so many elements that forced her into this action. One of which was Cupid had shot his arrow. Cupid is known as Kamadev in our Shastras, in our Vedas. So any idea who Cupid is? Cupid parents are? Yeah. Pradyumna Cupid in the next time when Krishna and Rukmini gets married, then Pradyumna comes. But Cupid, original Cupid. Yeah. Cupid is the son of Lord Vishnu himself and Lakshmi Devi. Cupid. So Cupid is very powerful. Being the son of Vishnu, if he hits a target, obviously that target is going to be reached, and so deity was affected by that. Deity also was affected by other circumstances. We see some factors, natural factors, cannot be ignored. We have these hormonal factors. Female sexual desires is a complex of combination of biological, psychological, and social factors which are based on the hormonal influences. So throughout her life, a woman will be affected by these aspects of the hormonal imbalance or balance. The hormones will affect the woman during puberty, during pregnancy, during menstrual cycle, and during menopause. So we can see here that Deity wasn't in menopause because she wasn't old enough. She had crossed puberty, she was already married, and she wasn't even pregnant. So what would have affected her here for her hormones is her menstrual cycle. So it is a known fact that when women are at the peak of the menstrual cycle, the sex urge goes to the extreme. So all these factors, contributory factors, prevented Deity from thinking rationally. Hence, the forbidden act happened. Now, when sex is like kept as a topic as a closed topic, and then it's not talked about, this can cause disruption to the growing young people or anyone else. This sex issues have to be discussed, and it's not like something that we have to stay away from. When we don't talk about it, then awareness and learning remains incomplete. Our philosophy does say that we need to have sex to have children. That's the way the world moves. There is the ashrams, brahmacharya ashram, grihastha ashram, vanaprastha ashram, and the sannyas ashram. So each ashram have their roles to play. So, and each ashram have to live to its full, otherwise it will cause disturbance to the successive ashram. In his class on 13th of January, His Holiness Vasudev Maharaj did mention on this topic, and he did talk about the ashrams, and he did say that how sannyasis are needed in our society also. But I think we can see that in our progressive society, lots of good devotees have come up, and unfortunately we haven't been able to see our homemade sannyasis, but surely this will be happening at some point. When Maharaj was giving the class, when he stressed on the Garbhada samskar, Garbhada means, Garbha is the womb, and Dhana means entering. Our philosophy has recommended the Garbhadana samskar, where the man and the woman, they'll chant like 50 rounds each before their intention of having a baby itself, and also some have mentioned 64 rounds. So Maharaj was saying that how effective this remembering the name of Lord Vishnu is, and how effective it is with the chanting. Even a great demon like Hiranyakashipu, who was greatest enemy of Lord Krishna, of Vishnu, when he was in union with his wife Kayadu, he was remembering his time in the forest with Narad Muni and what Narad has said. And then during that time of his consciousness was his sperm when met the egg, the consciousness, it was manifested as Prahlad Maharaj. So this is the power of the holy name, of the remembering the Lord, and of the Garbhada samskar. So when Srila Prabhupada mentioned that such is the force of material energy, chapter 7, verse 14 of the Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada mentioned, Devi sa gunamai mama maya durantaya mamevaye papadyante mayam etam tarantite. This divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. So what the word surrender means is, we all know about it, and this surrender is happening in our ISKCON society. From 3:30 in the morning till 10 o'clock, there's activities going on in our temples, in all ISKCON temples, where there's a chance to surrender. So one traveling preacher, Mataji, her Grace Devaki Devidasi. If anyone has read her books, she writes on Grihastha ashram and family as an ashram, as sheltering relationships. She mentioned that when each ashram is not lived to its full, the seed of sense gratification remains, and that seed will sprout up again and it will cause disturbance to the next ashram. So, and then also she has mentioned that sex for procreation is only for the very advanced souls, and whoever is very advanced, we know who we are, but often it's not possible for everyone to just treat sex just for procreation, like the Shastra will tell us. But as we progress in our Krishna consciousness, in our spirituality, that's how much we will advance and that's how much we will understand. So a new person who comes in, a new couple who comes into our temple or wants to have some spiritual enlightenment, we cannot just tell them, oh yes, these are regulative principles and sex is only for having a child. Then they will not be able to accept our philosophy and the preaching will become difficult. So that's also we have to put in mind how we are treating this topic. Main thing is that we remain detached and we attach to Krishna. That is our main focus, our purpose in life. In a class in Vrindavan in 1975, Srila Prabhupada has said, there are thousands more beautiful women in Vaikuntha and there are thousands more strong men, but no one is even interested in sex because they are so absorbed in Krishna consciousness. They are so absorbed in Krishna consciousness. So that is our aim, to be able to be absorbed in Krishna consciousness so much so that we don't have about any feelings, this is the man, this is the woman, this is what I need to do. But whenever there is any urge, whatever ashram we are in, we have to fulfill it. Otherwise, this is a disturbance to us and to our society. I think I'll stop here because Jain is coming up, and I hope I've done some justice to this verse. And sorry if I've said something that wasn't so good. And thank you all so much. And we have 2 minutes for some questions or some comments or some enlightenments, please. Yes, Prabhu.
It's when we were in Srila Prabhupada's room, and I think it was Pankajandri Prabhu, and the woman there complained about a certain lady, how she only comes to do service to get contact with the men. And he said, well, what's wrong with that? She's doing service. You should be looking at that thing, because that's her positive side, irrespective of her motive. You know, you really put her in place, actually, because the thing is, she just does service. It's the best. So we shouldn't look at what they think, because also what you're thinking is what you are. You've got to be careful of that. Yeah. There's an envious nature as well. So we have to be careful of these sort of things. You know, like I remember Atoshaja Prabhu said, you spot it, you got it.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you for your contribution. So useful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
You mentioned that book Mother Devaki wrote, and in that book she said, if you don't successfully finish tram, then a seed of such gratification remains there.
Yeah.
So how can we understand this? Because there's so many situations, it's Kali Yuga, so many situations things don't work out even sannyasis fall down. So the seed of sense gratification is there, but if we take that as a lesson and try to advance further, then that seed will ultimately dissipate.
Yeah.
That's it.
No.
Mercy, then we can overcome that
Yeah.
desire for sense gratification, and everyone's in a different situation, right? You think? Could you say something more?
Yeah,
about that?
but even we see that in the past, even great rishis, even like we know this, he was right in the water, not wanting any contact with anyone, and yet he was affected by sense gratification, and he had to break his tapasya. If anyone does fall down, it's nothing like abominable that has happened. They will have, because they have the connection with the mode of goodness. If they fell down, it's just something that happened to them that they'll have to deal with. It's not that it'll be untouchable. And in our movement, we have seen how Srila Prabhupada has always embraced anyone who fell down. There is no wrong in falling down. Obviously, things happen in the material world. Sometimes, if we are not vigilant about our moves, we are touched by this material nature. Of course, we can have circumstances that will pull us down. All we have to do is pull ourselves up, and in this society, everyone is here to help everyone go up. And I don't think there is any wrong, even if you fell down, that you are helped to come up. But the chance is for you to want to come up. Is that okay, or is it something else you wanted?
Falling down or not
Yeah.
falling down, it's like she said, if you're not successful in that particular ashram.
Yes.
I mean, I don't necessarily agree with that. Because, like I said, everyone's situation is different. Even Prabhupada's marriage didn't work out,
Yes.
you could say.
Yeah.
His wife sold the Bhagavatam set for tea, right?
Yeah.
And that was the last straw for Prabhupada.
Yeah.
And okay, this is it.
Yeah.
So it's not like he got the blessings of his wife.
Yeah.
So one could say, well, Prabhupada wasn't successful. Well, of course he was successful, because he took that as an opportunity
Yeah.
to progress further in spiritual life and spread Krishna consciousness throughout the whole world. So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, being unsuccessful doesn't mean that it stopped there. Like you yourself were saying, that Prabhupada did use that as an opportunity. Even if someone falls down, if they use it as an opportunity to look for another opportunity to come up again. So often it does happen that you're not successful in your ashram, but this doesn't mean that it all stops here.
It's good, yeah, just wanted to hear a bit more about that. That's okay. Thanks.
I think Govinda has something to say.
I'm just reminded of a verse, I think it's the 5th canto. If you have desires and you approach the Lord, He fulfills your desires in such a way that you don't need them anymore. So in that vein, if someone's ashram is unsuccessful, but they're also practicing Krishna consciousness, then Srila Prabhupada, Krishna will fulfill their desires in such a way that they don't desire them again. Therefore, by your power of your devotional service, Krishna will remove the desire, the frustrated desire of your unfulfilled ashram. That's the way I look at it. So I think from the point of view of Pravriti Marg, it's good to go through all these different ashrams, etc., because it fulfills your desires. But because the Nivritti Margs run in parallel, Krishna intervenes and fulfills desires and takes away desires, so that it's not necessary that you have to relive the ashram to get it perfect. That's my perspective on it.
Yes. I believe that anarthas have to be burnt out. Anarthas has to be burnt out in the human body itself. And then when Krishna really loves you, He gives you all these difficulties. My Guru Maharaj said that difficulties are Krishna's mercy. But if we see this as a way to progress in our Krishna consciousness, then we make our life successful. So whatever happens, Krishna's mercy. Ladies, anything? Messages? No? Okay. Thank you all. Have a nice breakfast. Thank you. Shri Prabhupada ki. Thank you.